Wow, here we are again, folks. Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. I'm going to try my best to do in 30 minutes to run through 35 verses 3 times in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3. 2 commands and 3 blessings. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Listen to those 2 verses. Take them to heart and they mean what they say what they mean. We're going to come back and cover them in a little bit. 3 commands and 2 blessings. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them on thy neck. Write them upon the tables of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Man, the 2 biggest blessings written in the Bible right here. 3 commands and 1 blessing. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. 3 commands and 2 blessings. Listen to this, verse 7 and 8. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones. Man, if you get away from God, I don't care who you are, how close to God you are, if you get yourself away from God, you begin to feel physical ailments. You'll begin to feel some things that you say, why, God, is this happening? And the Lord will say, get the Proverbs out and read them, and I'm going to show you why. And this is it. 3 commands and 2 blessings. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. Man, the 2 of the most important things in this physical body right here is a healthy navel and marrow in your bones. Honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruit. That means the first 10 cents you make on every dollar belongs to God. Of all thine increase, so shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. Never has a more truer verses, 9 and 10, no more truer verses have ever been said that are fact. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary at his correction. I'm under correction of the Lord today, and I'm not going to be worried for it. From whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father a son, in whom he delighteth. I'm proud to say that God delights in this old boy today, and because he does, I'm having to be chastened for absolute weakness in my life to not follow the direct path that God gave me to follow sometimes, and because of it, I will suffer some things from it. I'm asking God for deliverance from those things, to keep me on the right path, to give me the health that I've asked Him for. I'm 75 years old, and God has given me enough health to work daily, an 8-hour day out here in a work crew, and work physically, and my body's been proper. I'm just having some problems right now that I relate to spirituality, and I think if I get my spiritual life right, God will take care of my physical life. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding, for the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and of grain thereof of fine gold, of gain, even of fine gold. She, wisdom, is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. length of days. Look at that. In her right hand and in her left hand riches and honor. I want both. I want both in the eyes of God, not in so much the eyes of the world. I want my days lengthened. I want my right hand to work. I want my left hand to be rich in honor. Her ways are pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. I want that in my life. I want that in my life. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. Lord, I'm trying my best to retain her. I'm working today, right now, to retain this knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whoever thou art watching this, I pray to God daily. I pray about the moves I make. I pray about the things I say. I pray about the places I go. I pray about that which I do. Start in the morning, early, and pray about it. And God will give you what this proverb is about. The Lord by wisdom hath founded the earth. By understanding hath he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. If you ever wonder where the dew comes from, look right here. The clouds drop down the dew. 2 commands and 6 blessings in the next 4 verses. 21 to 24. My son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. He's saying it's in your eyes. If it's in your eyes, that means you need to read it. You need to study it. And then you need to follow what it says. So shall they be life unto thy soul and grace to thy neck. Man, I love that. Look, I'm 75. I can turn my neck around. Isn't that good? Look at that neck. I got a neck. It's got grace. Wow. And grace to thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in the way of safety. Thy foot shall not stumble. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Do you know I had a sweet night of sleep last night? 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 30. 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours. Sound, good, positive sleep. Got up feeling like a brand new man. Got back on the YouTube. Got doing what God told me to do a long time ago. He said, I'll take care of you. If you'll do what I tell you to do, I'll take care of your body. I'll take care of your neck. I'll take care of your back, your shoulders, your arm, your legs, your spine. I'll take care of you. You just do what I ask you to do, and I'll take care of you. 25 and 26. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of desolation of the wicked when it cometh. For the Lord shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken. It's, my friend, is your trust in the Lord. How much is your trust in the Lord? Now we're going to go through 27 to 35 as one reading. It has 6 commands in it, and those 6 commands give us 4 blessings. Now look, withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of thine hands to do it. Tell me something. Do you go to a restaurant and pay $10 or more to eat a meal and leave a $1 tip to the person that waited on you, that makes $2.50 an hour and lives on the tips you give? Do you take a tract out and put a $5 bill in it? And get a New Testament out, a little New Testament I carry to give away, some little, smaller than this, but New Testament. And give a New Testament and a tract with a $5 bill and say, may God bless you. You've been a good waitress. You may have to lie a little bit, sometimes they aren't. But if you were a waitress making $2.50 an hour, just had a knockdown, drag-out fight with your husband, got thrown off at the restaurant, 6 o'clock in the morning, and now it's 7 o'clock at night, and you still there? You think you'd be in good spirits? You think you'd smile and tell people, well, how you doing? Nice day. All that. Hey, do you go through McDonald's and get a cup of coffee? Do you go through McDonald's and get an order and it doesn't come out right? Is your thought only of yourself, and you go in and throw it down on the counter and be ugly and hateful? That poor person is in there working for pennies, and you're on a $20,000 a month job or something, and you be ugly? Are you a Christian? Are you a real Christian? Do you really believe the Proverbs? Do you really believe that you need to treat those who are less fortunate around you with perfection? Do you need to put $1 in a tract, $1? So I just paid McDonald's for the $5.50 for that meal. Now I'm gonna give another $1. You're not giving that $1 to McDonald's. You're putting that $1 in here for that girl. And you tell her there's something in there. You tell her this. There's something in there. Put this in your pocket and don't open it until you go home, because if you open it in here, they might accuse you of taking $1. It's not yours, but I'm giving it to you. And or something in there. Even a $5 bill. Do you know that I can enjoy a biscuit and a cup of coffee a whole lot better if I give something to the person that waited on me than I do paying for it? Oh, I'm going to pay for it. Yes, I'll pay for it. But that's not where my blessing's going to be. My blessing's going to be in giving that person that gave it to me something. Well, you know what? We waste more money. We throw away more money. You know something? You know what I believe? I believe some of that money we throw away is going to be accounted against us when we get to heaven. Especially when we had the opportunity to witness with it. To witness with it. Okay. Withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of thine hand to do it. Say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when thou hast it by thee. Your neighbor comes by and said, hey, Pete, I need a cup of sugar. You got a cup of sugar? Yes, I have. I'll get it for you. I get 2 cups of sugar. Or even the rest of a bag that I have, that may be a pound. And a little tract. It says, hey neighbor, if you died right now, would you go to heaven? If they say yes, they're your brother in the Lord. And boy, there's a lot of things in the Bible say what you do for a brother. But there's also a lot in the Bible say what you do for a man who's not your brother. But how are you going to win that person if you don't say, do you need something besides this sugar? Is there something you need besides this sugar? Can I help you with? And they say, well, you know, I don't have any bread. Well, you know there are people today that do not. There are some people today, very, very few and hard to find, but there are some people today that do not rely on welfare. There are some people out there that don't have welfare. I don't know where you'll find them, but there are. Every now and then you run across one. It's your duty to help that person. It's your duty to see that if they need more than a cup of sugar, they get it. So we're talking about not reading Proverbs. We're talking about acting on Proverbs. Acting on. Do you act on these Proverbs? Do you want to stay away from a doctor? Act on these Proverbs. Say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again tomorrow. He's saying, you culprit, you heresy guy, you got that cup of sugar in your house and you're going to be powerful because your neighbor ain't got a cup and you're going to make him wait another day? I've had people do that with me with money. I've got done with a job before and all the man had to do is sign that check and he'd say, come back tomorrow and I'll pay you. Just so that he could be powerful. Just to show his meanness, ugly power. And I have had it before to where that check was absolutely 100% absolutely necessary. I had it that day and the guy would say, you come back tomorrow and I'll pay you. I've had to drive from the town I live in to another town to get paid. I drove to Columbus from LaGrange. I drove 46 miles to a man's place to collect. And he said to the secretary, tell him I'll pay him tomorrow. I said, you tell that man tomorrow his name's going to be in the front page of the paper. To be a man that don't pay his bills when a man works for him and gets it done. I'll go down to the newspaper office now and have it put in there. And I heard this come out of his mouth. And this was a rich man. You tell that so-and-so blankety blank blank that I'm going to give him a check right now, but he'll never work for me again. I said to the secretary, you tell that man that I'm glad that he's going to pay me right now, and he don't have to worry because I'm never going to work for him again anyway. So it wasn't no threat. But just because you got it in your power, do not down people. Do not give it a tough time to people. Do what you're supposed to. Verse 9. Devise not evil against thy neighbor. Go and come again tomorrow. And then verse 29 says, devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee. Hey, your neighbor's your neighbor. He's going to be your neighbor until he can't afford to be your neighbor anymore, or something happens. So be careful about you. Strive not with a man without cause, if he had done thee no harm. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the froward is an abomination to the Lord, but his secret is with the righteous. The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blesseth the habitation of the just. Surely he scorneth the scorners, but he giveth grace unto the lowly. The wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be promotion of fools. Chapter 3. We've got 18. A few minutes left. We're going to quickly do a review of that, what I just read. Chapter 3. And this is going to be, remember now, this course that I'm in right here is in honor of Pastor Jim S-T-A-U-B, Stubb, I guess it is. In honor of him, what he taught his son to do with these. And I don't know his son's name. I just know he was a pastor of a church. The introduction of Solomon's instructs his son in chapter 3 to trust in the Lord and to fear the Lord. Any particular help without the fear of the Lord is woefully lacking. He is the reason. Otherwise, eat, drink, and be merry. Note in chapter 1, Solomon warns of the calamity of refusal to learn. In chapter 2, the commitment of God's Word. In chapter 3 now is the confidence in the Lord. And we are in chapter 3. So we're going to read about the confidence and the goal of instruction 1 through 4. It says, don't forget God's law. That's the instruction of chapter 3, 1 through 4. Keep in your heart His commandments. Well, you can't keep them if you don't know them. So if you don't read the book, study the book, learn the book, you don't know it. Which will produce these 3 things right here. Length of days, long life, and peace. I want those. How am I going to get them? Committing this word to my heart, center of my mind, keeping my mind on the Lord, keeping it. Don't forsake mercy and truth. Bind them and write them on thy heart. We have not got mercy and truth in our churches today. We've got long, tattling tongues. We've got people who do not open their Bible from Sunday to Sunday, do not get in God's Word, do not study it, do not come to Sunday school, do not do the things that we should have God's work in our heart, not just in flippantly reading a Bible verse and saying, well, I read my Bible today, and run out of the house. No, reading the Bible is not just reading. Reading the Bible is to understand what you're reading, receiving it. Don't forsake the mercy and truth. Bind them and write them on thy heart, which will produce favor and good understanding with God and man. That's what we need. Good understanding. I wish that I had the understanding one of my sons has. One of my sons has. He understands God a lot better than I do, I believe. He understands the truth. He's more stewardess in a sense in his life than I am. He everything is done with God first and the thinking. And there's nothing flippant in his life. I try to instill that in my own self. I happen to try to instill it in him, and it worked. And I have to keep it before me at all times. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. See Proverbs 28:25. Don't lean on your own understanding, your own instruction, your own way, but lean on God. Acknowledge Him in all thy ways. That's every single word, every thought, every time you move, every place you go, everything you do, in all thy ways. Then He will direct thy paths. As we walk in obedience to Him, He will direct our paths. This means in every aspect of your life, not just a spiritual aspect. These areas are about money. They're in the marriage, they're in the school, the business, the savings, the retiring, in your home, the garage, utility room, bedroom, automobile, vacation, vocation. Everything needs to boil down to God. And everywhere else that you may be. Note that Nehemiah, when he was in his case, Nehemiah chapter 1, the walls he knew were burned and destroyed. His first reaction was to pray. All physical problems are spiritual problems. Don't be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil, which will produce health to thy navel, marrow to thy bones. Good health many times is a spiritual problem. Honor the Lord with thine substance and thy first fruits of thine increase. This is the principle of God in all time periods of the Bible. Before the law with Abraham, Genesis 12, the dispensation of grace with Paul, 1 Corinthians 16, 1 and 2, 2 Corinthians 9, 6 and 8, which will produce full barns, and you'll be pressed down, shaken together. Despise not the chasing of the Lord. Don't be worried of his correction, and the Lord loves those he corrects. He does it because he's a father who delights in his sons. Sometimes we hesitate. Sometimes we need to be careful to look. Look, the goal of instructions in verse 13 through 35. Happiness, verse 13. More precious than all things, verse 15. Pleasantness and peace, verse 17. A tree of life, verse 18. Grace, verse 22. Safety, verse 23. Sleep that is sweet. Verse 24, I love it. And confidence in the Lord, verse 26. Not the pride of ourself, but that which God gives us. Let me read some notes. Because God directs our paths, he can protect our paths. Some may ask, why doesn't God stop this war? And the reason why is he doesn't stop it is because he started it. He allowed it to start, and he's not going to stop it. We have a war within ourselves that warreth against righteousness, that warreth against all the good, that warreth against God, warreth against the principle of 10%. Man, I personally, in the church I'm in, and hate to really kind of air this out, but see unhealthy Christians because of their unwillingness to do their duty as God said. Not just 10% of their money, but 10% of their time. If you took 10% of your time and studied the book, studied the Bible, 10% of your time, you'd be close to God. If you took 10%, if there are 24 hours in a day, and 10% of that would be 240, right? 24 would be 2 something a day given to God. I like to look at it this way. There's 168 hours in a week, and I like to give 16.8 hours a week directly to God. How do we do that? Some of it I do on this YouTube. Some of it I do passing these tracts. Some of it I do being pleasant to people who aren't pleasant. Some of it I do by living a Christian life, by trying to chide those around me. I have some around me that where we're working right now that are regular churchgoers. Their daily radio listening to is not what you get in like on a Christian radio station. And I say to the boys, I say, boys, you know that it's important to bring godly stuff during the day to yourself. That's where your peace is. That's where your joy is. That's where your long suffering is. That's where your health is. That's where everything is in keeping your mind stayed on the Lord. You can't keep your mind stayed on the Lord and listen to the world's music. Well, I said, Pete, you know, that's not bad. That's not a bad song. It might not be, but it's not a spiritual song. So therefore it is bad for a Christian to feed himself daily with these things rather than with the godly things. The blessing is going to be found in this word. 21 through 26. The Father of providential care is God. He is the Father of providential care. He is going to keep us if we do what we're supposed to do for Him, in Him, with Him, by Him, and take care of our bodies too as well. And then, 19 through 20, the very God of the creation. If He created this world, He created us out of the dust of the earth, and he makes that tree out there grow and bear fruit and do what it does, don't you think he can make this tree that he made with his own hands, and he formed it, don't you think he can make it healthy and make it work? Yes. How are we going to stay that way? We're going to have to stay in touch, my friend. We're going to have to stay in touch. We can't let the line get broken. We got to stay in touch. Well, our time's come and gone here, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.